Hello everyone, welcome back to HSI IGCSE English. Today we'll be looking at the theme of dreams of mice and men. Again, perfect for IGCSE or GCSE standard. So yeah, I've got an discipline right here. Let's go straight into it. So yeah, paragraph 1 is going to of course be the main central dream that's throughout the novel, of course, which is George and Lenny's dream. It's what motivates George and Lenny even when they have to jungle up next to the fire the night before going to the ranch. And what is the dream? The dream, of course, is for them to live off the fat of the land and have rabbits. It's this way that a dream where they're in control of their own kind of their own destiny almost. They are in control of their own land. There's no fear of being canned. There's no one to tell them off. This kind of dream, it's synonymous with the American dream in terms of historical context, where one would be allowed to could own their land and be in control of their own decisions. This dream that anyone could rise up to this standard. And dreams actually, they just allow people who are isolated and lonely in society just to briefly overcome their hardships and escape, the wonders of their imagination. Because George and Lenny, for example, are at the time of the Great Depression. There's so much itinerant farm workers, migrant workers. There's no, there's limited jobs, and therefore dreams almost allows a way to move away from the hard nature of the Great Depression just to a place in your imagination where you're safe almost. And the dream continues to have kind of an impact throughout the novel, because right to the end, Lenny dies picturing the dream. George tells Lenny to remember the rabbits, and that is when George shoots Lenny. But it just shows you how central this idea of an American dream is to the novel. And again, actually, the failure of the dream, for example, with the death of Lenny, you could look at. We don't know if the dream failed actually at the end, because remember, Candy asked George at the end what they'll do now. But you can look at Robert Burns' quote. I think I have it up here. The best laid schemes of mice and men gang after Agley. This one here. Means no matter how well we plan for the future, things often go wrong. Just if we want to add a bit more historical context. The second paragraph, we'll be looking at Curly's wife, who also had her own dream about going to the movies, and she was poised again to make her dream come true. It was her version of the American dream, just showing that the dream isn't synonymous with men. It's also applying to women here. And she fears that the dream would have come true because, in her opinion, her mother hid the letters from the guy that would put her in the movies, and because the person thought she was a natural. And Curly's wife says, "I could have made something of myself. Maybe I will yet." So she still believes, even after a hastened marriage to Curly, that she aspires to be an actress, and this kind of development of Hollywood, for example, is another kind of historical context that you can look at the time, even the Roaring Twenties, the 1920s, or the Great Depression, the 1930s, many women still aspired, to be actresses. But again, you can look at Robert Burns' quote again. Curly's wife's dream fails at the end of the day. She marries Curly hastily after being rejected, and clearly, she's very lonely by herself. From Curly, I actually have, I believe, some quotes on this actually. Yeah. She's back to "Why can't I talk to you? I never get to talk to nobody." She gets lonely, awful lonely. Just showing that, how her dream has failed, and now she's almost trapped as a possession of her husband because an objectified, hence Curly's wife doesn't have a name, yet you can talk about dreams allowing them to momentarily escape the prejudice, which I think is quite important. Paragraph 3 is you can almost go back to George and Lenny's dream, but now look at how the impact it had on Candy and Crooks. Initially, Candy wants to join George and Lenny's dream after he hears about it, shortly after the death of his dog, because Candy fears being canned, and soon actually he gives all of the money that he stored in the bank after the compensation after he lost his arm, in order to make the dream happen. And it literally, the addition of Candy means that it makes the dream almost very possible. Because Candy, for example, he didn't see any future for himself. The shooting of his dog almost, he felt, forebode his future if he didn't move on. At the end of the day, he's lost an arm, all he's a swamper, and there wasn't any kind of pension for elderly people until the Social Security Act of 1935 under Franklin Delano Roosevelt, President of the USA, his New Deal almost. And as I said here, as Candy says here, when they can me, I wish somebody shoot me. I have no place to go and I can't get no more jobs. Again, just showing how Candy also wants to join this dream, this place, this imagination where you can go almost be in control of your own actions. And Crooks as well, he first also plays down the dream. Everyone wants a little piece of land, he says, and he knows that many ranch workers have the same dream. And despite actually the initial skepticism and Crooks clearly think it's going to go wrong, he also hopes that he can join the dream after realizing, Candy's in it, George is in it, Lenny's in it, and for example, all the money's stored in the bank too. It looks possible, and Crooks asks if he can join just to escape the racial prejudices that, colored people had to face during the Great Depression, with Jim Crow laws, as I talked about in another video actually, and the KKK constantly out to maintain a white superiority, where again the Jim Crow laws actually are just basically laws against colored people to prevent them from achieving the same rights, as white people at the time of the Great Depression. But shortly after, Curly's wife actually has to remind Crooks of his place in society, saying he gets strung up a tree so easily it wouldn't even be funny. And it just reminds Crooks of his place in society, and it causes him to retire into his terrible protected dignity. And after this kind of aspect from what Curly's wife said to Crooks, Crooks ends his belief of the dream. And again, it just shows that no matter where he goes, no matter who he is, he's always going to have to suffer from racial prejudices due to and that's his failure of the American dream. Again, you can talk back to Robert Burns' quote, the best laid schemes of mice and men, gang after ugly. No matter how well we plan for the future, things often go wrong. So yeah, thank you very much. That's Dreams from On My Cement, essay plan done. As you can see here, the next essay plan hopefully will be on violence, so feel free to like and subscribe, and yeah, we'll go from there.